now. So the session is being recorded at this point. I've taken attendance, so I've got a group of y'all recorded out here. I'm doing it from school, which I've done. The afternoon ones seem to work fine from school. The morning ones don't seem to work well from school. So this one I've got doing from school. This morning I did my other two sessions from my home. All right. All of you have done these before, so you know the procedure on that. I do record them and post them out there in Blackboard for you to get credit in place of the discussion. That you do have to listen to it live, and also that you got to post something in the chat more than just hello or good morning, good afternoon, something substantial. And so make sure you do that along the way, because that's when the school considers it an engagement activity, and their accreditation organization, which is the one that really pushes this one on us. And that this and discussions and blogs are all supposed to be engagement activities for online students. Students that take us in person don't have to worry about these as a general rule, although some instructors do, because the theory is that you're engaging in the classroom, and that you're talking with the instructor and talking with fellow students in there. So this is that, and that I give you an option of doing the discussion or doing the live collaborate. I do record them so those students that can't attend can listen to them later, number one. And number two, that if any of you want to go back and listen to it, you can go back and listen to it also. And I see we got one more. I'm going to try to stay better caught up this semester on transferring grades. I won't guarantee on that. It is a busy semester. It's half the time, so we're all working double time, because we're going to do in 1 week what we would do in 2 weeks in a regular spring or fall semester. So it's going to be hectic. And y'all have already seen that, because you've already discovered that we're doing 2 chapters a week. Where in fall and spring, you would only, in this course, only do 1 chapter a week. I do have it as an 8-week session, and that we've done that on all the CIST classes now, intentionally. They could be 10 weeks, but a couple of considerations on that. One is it does make it easier for us to convert courses from the full semester to 8-week session, because what's 1 week is convert straight to what's 2 weeks in those converts to 1 week in the summer. Secondly, it gives us, you and the faculty that are teaching these courses, a longer period of a break between summer and fall, so that we actually do have a month in there this year, just over a month actually, because your last day of class is July the 13th, and fall semester starts on something like August the 15th. Yep, so it starts on August 15th. So we've actually got a month, just over a month in there. So that's all going on. Okay, so do be careful on that, of do post things. Okay, we are in the second course of the 3-course sequence for Cisco, and that will continue on it as we go along. And with that, with the short session, in addition, I've got several activities going on this summer. Since y'all all had me last semester, you're going, well, that's not unusual. I'm doing some online training right now. I'm taking Started last week the second core exam for A+ on a Train the Trainer series. The previous week finished a 5-week session on the first core exam. There were 2 nights a week, Tuesday night and Thursday nights, for 2 hours a night. Same thing continues on this. This will be week 2 here. So that means it's basically going to go through the month of June. In addition, the week of June the 20th, I will be in Jacksonville, Florida, and training about Python and about using a GUI with it. And the training is the main thing that I'm looking forward to get out of that training down there that week, and learning how to teach it there. Training that's paid for through a National Science Foundation grant to this training group in Texas. I just finished an Azure class that they had on Fridays all day for the last 5 weeks, last Friday. And they will pay for me go out there and the week and everything. Python is a programming language that's got large usage today. It's a base programming language for a lot of places. You can do a variety of things in it. Where I'm looking at for in here is a little bit more of that it's used to manage networks. It's also used for programming just business programs and other stuff. So it's a regular programming language, and it's a more general one than a lot of programming languages. And I see we had one other join us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So it can get used in a lot of ways. I've had a little bit of training on it before a few years ago from the same place, but this time it's looking, it was command line what I learned then. And this time they're going to talk about it more in terms, they're going to talk about it more in terms of data science and about being able to pull stuff from databases and other major data structures. But they're going to do it from a GUI approach, where when I took it before, which actually I think is with the same instructors, it was a command line approach. So I'm interested in seeing on that. We're talking about and planning on me teaching a class on it in the spring. Okay. I think somebody else, I think Moshe may be having a problem also, because he's bounced in and out a couple of times, but it's showing good connections for all of y'all right now. But that's what Python is. So actually Python relates to what y'all are learning. So when I get back from it, I'll give y'all some information on that. That week, I'm not sure what we will do about these sessions, because I'll be in class every day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So obviously we can't do these 3 sessions, the 3 different classes, during the day as we've got them scheduled. Secondly, I'm planning to do some stuff in the evening. I know I'm definitely planning to go to St. Augustine one evening and eat at Osteen's restaurant down there that I love their shrimp. Because I'm in Jacksonville, I'm just 45 minutes or so from there. I'll be staying, I think, out towards the beach, so I would like to walk on the beach in the evenings. I've got a former student from 30 years ago that wants to meet me, that's living down there now, that wants to meet me one evening for dinner. And so that's going to be, I got to get with her and see when that is. And that, and I've got another friend that I grew up with that lives down there that I would like to meet with, that I did a couple of years ago. So I don't know if we'll be able to have a session that week at this point. Hopefully we can. But I'm going to have to wait and see on when I'm going to have to be able to schedule it in. I will add also that week, Monday is a holiday. It's Juneteenth. That's a new state holiday that just came in last year. And that I'm going to be in class all day that day. And on that Sunday, I'll be driving down to Jacksonville. And then I'll be in class every day through Thursday all day, and Friday, usually they let us out at noon. But I've got to drive back. So I'm not getting the holiday that week. So that's another mixed in factor there. Then this one won't really affect y'all. When we get down to the last couple of days of the semester, the 11th, July the 11th week, and the 12th is your last day of class. The 13th is the exam day for y'all. I will not be here that week. I will be in Frisco, Texas, which is a suburb north of Dallas. And I'll be in training again with the same organization. And I better mark one more thing here. I don't remember, I can't remember exactly who's in the class. So, and I'll be learning there about using the Arduinos and the Raspberry Pis in a classroom situation on what you can play with and do with them. That one should be a fun class for me, and hopefully I can bring something back with it. But again, same group, they do the same thing there. They pay for me to fly out there. They pay for the hotel for the week. They feed us lunch. Hotel will have breakfast for us. Slight different spelling than what you've got there. Take out the P in raspberry and take out the E in pie. It's a miniature computer about that big. It's just a little tiny board. And I don't have one. I had one and I gave it away to somebody else. But it's a miniature one that you can do all kinds of things on. People set up all kinds of stuff to run on them. You can make them pretty powerful. But they're just miniature things. You can buy cases to go around it. Basically, you just get the motherboard to it, and then you can, and it usually comes with a couple of USB ports on it, and that you plug stuff into it. But it's pretty powerful, and they're really neat. But they're miniature computers. Because the Arduino, I actually, and it's the same type thing, it's just a different brand. I've actually got one of them at home. I've learned a little bit on both to do some stuff, but not much. The Arduino, I had learned how I could go in and actually have an attachment that plugged in that was a little message board and run a message across it. I'll try to dig that thing out and bring it in one week to show y'all. But like I say, I don't have my Raspberry Pi now. Those only cost like $30 a piece. Now you have to get all your attachment stuff to go with it, but that's the basic little device, so it's cheap. People set up alarm systems with them. I know a former student that she just set up an alarm system with it, etc. They're neat little devices, but they're and actually I think the Ring doorbell runs on a Raspberry Pi. Okay. Not exactly sure why they named it what they did, but they did. The other one, I think, is Audrina. That may not be exactly the right spelling. And you're seeing them used in a lot of things. So that's what I'm going to do that week on that. They fly me out there. I bought my airplane ticket yesterday and put me up in the hotel, and they pay, and they arrange shuttle from the hotel to the college. It's at Collins College, which is a junior college around Dallas. And then like I say, the hotel will have a hot breakfast for us, lunch. Both places, they bring in a nice lunch for us every day. It's not just subs. But they bring a hot lunch in, so we get a bunch of food there. And then supper, we do have to pay for ourselves. So school will have to pay for my supper. The other one the school does have to pay for me when I go to Dallas is they're going to have to pay for the shuttle to the airport and from the airport to the hotel. Because I will fly out of Atlanta, but I've got a reservation already on Groom. And so I'll catch that in East Ridge, park in their parking lot for free, and then take Groom to the Atlanta airport. And when I come back the same way. And that's only $50 a trip. $50 plus tip. The Super Shuttle out there in Dallas is a little bit, which is similar. They're charging me, looks like $90 each way on it, so not bad. And so that's what I'm going to do there. So that's what I'll be doing there. Also, the last week of June, that leads into the weekend of July the 4th, from that Tuesday or Wednesday that week, but I'm pretty sure I've got to figure out which day I'm leaving to go out there. I'll be working with the National BB gun match that Daisy Outdoor Products, people that make Red Ryder guns, sponsors. It's for kids. It's the national championship. You got to be top 3 teams in your state to qualify. Kids 8 to 14 years old. We actually have older ones shooting other air guns in competition starting this year. We didn't do it the last 2 years because of the pandemic. I have been working with it since, well, I've been doing the website since 1999. I ran the match in 99 and 2000, and I coached teams in the competition back in like 93, 94, 95, if I remember it. Yeah. That I had go to the national competition. We didn't do real well there, but the neat part was we made it to the national competition. We were 3rd place team in the state of Georgia those years. So that was a neat experience for the kids, a neat experience for me. And that, Maya, is what this leads to this competition. Did you do it in Georgia or where? Because in Georgia, you've got district 4-H competition at different places through the state. And then there's the state competition at Rock Eagle, which I took teams to several times. The JCs also have run teams and still do in some places. All the JC chapters are way down, which is how I got involved in this. And that I took teams to Rock Eagle a number of years, and that then we weren't one of the top 3 in the 4-H competition because they had like 50, 70 teams down there at Rock Eagle in their state competition. And the JC competition, there was like 9 or 10, and I actually ran that for a few years. And then I ended up on this, and then I created the webpage for them back in 99. And Daisy said they can't pay me, but they'd take me to the match every year and let me do what I want to do there. So I do go to it each year. They pay for me to go out there. I'll drive out there, but that'll be an 11-hour trip. And if I got to go on Tuesday, I may still do these, even if I'm driving out there on Tuesday, I may still do those on Tuesday, just do them on the road from truck stops or something similar, or some other restaurants where I can pick up internet. I've done that before. So we'll probably do that one on Tuesday still. But the one when I'm in Jacksonville, that one will definitely have to move. But but I'm not sure if I go on Tuesday or Wednesday. I just can't remember. And then I come back on July the 4th, which is a Monday, because we finish up on Sunday. And they have a real elaborate awards ceremony and an opening ceremony. Teams all come in costumes for the opening ceremony. They all go across stage. There's usually about 50. I'm suspecting this year, because we didn't have it the last 2 years, there may be more teams there, that we may have 70 teams or so there this year. It's shot indoors. We shoot it in the convention center next to the Embassy Suites Hotel, and that's where they put us up at. Embassy Suites likes us there that week, and gives a real good price on it. I get my room for free, because that's part of their compensation to me. They don't pay me money, they all pay me mileage, and they'll feed me, and they'll put me up in a nice motel room. And I love the breakfast at Embassy Suites. That one, the best. And so that we shoot indoors there. We used to shoot outdoors. It used to be at Western Kentucky University for a number of years. I had it in Atlanta at the Olympic shooting spot, back there in 99 and 2000 and 2002. And so it's a neat experience. The kids learn gun safety, as Maya could tell you. That an emphasis in the program is they go through and learn gun safety, and then they get a chance to shoot, and then they usually form a team out of it. And then that team gets to go on further. But the kids are taught gun safety, and to be safe with guns. I taught, back when I was teaching it, I had down in South Georgia, I had a lot of years, 80 or 90 kids, 8 to 14 years old, come out to participate in it each year. And then I trained them. As a result of it, when y'all looked at my resume, and you've noticed down there that it says I'm on NRA, National Rifle Association, home firearms instructor. I got that because as I was in my position in this, that NRA is also involved in it and a sponsor of it, and that those of us that were promoting the program in the different states and nationally, that they came in and trained us to be home firearms instructors, because actually what's taught in that home firearms course that NRA has is the same type things that we teach in this course. The one I was doing, we did it as a combination of 4-H and the JCs. So it's a neat one. It's saving lives. That's what the emphasis is, so that kids know how to behave when they're around guns and to handle them correctly. It's neither a pro-gun or an anti-gun type thing, pro-hunting type thing. It is purely a gun safety program, and then it goes on into competition shooting. But the kids don't have to go further in it, that they can just go through the training and then not participate further, because you only take a team out of it. Here in Walker County, I think about 2 years before the pandemic, so probably 2018, that we had a team here in Walker County that went to the Nationals and competed out there. So I'm pretty sure it was 18, because it wasn't the last year that I went out there, but I believe it was the year before. So that was neat on that. And they had a neat experience. So the shooting will occur Sunday and Saturday. They have to take a test also on rules and gun safety. Shooting 4 positions, and they take that test in all 4 positions, and the test each all count equally to their total score. And then we'll have that other competition going on. So I may well be going out on Wednesday, because Thursday's probably registration and practice, and Friday. and then Saturday and Sunday, and then Sunday after, because Friday night we'll have the opening ceremony, and it's elaborate. And then Sunday afternoon we'll have another awards ceremony, and we set up a nice stage. And everybody that wins a medal comes across the stage. I get a picture of everybody winning an award. When they come in the opening ceremony, I get a picture of every team that is competing in their costumes. And then during the competition, I will get a picture of every kid shooting at least once. Now that takes a good bit of work on my part. They do shoot 4 positions, so I got 4 chances to take a picture of them, but I'm jumping in there. But I don't take a picture of them in every position, as a general rule. Now, sometimes it does happen. Sometimes one of the parents or coaches comes up to me and asks me to get pictures of a certain kid in all positions, and I will work on doing that for them. All of that's on the website, and y'all can actually go out and look at pictures from the last few years, etc., and scores. Last year's scores I don't think are there anymore, and I got to get that fixed, because they do an electronic scoring now. We used to do it on pen and paper, and I wrote a program that we actually started on back in '93 doing in Excel. And so I would put that on out there and put their scores all posted. And then a few years ago, somebody wrote a program with a scanner that you can scan the targets, and it grades the targets and gives their scores, and we get real quick scoring because then it pops up. That's what I put out there. The only problem is the guy that does that only leaves those scores on his website for about a year. I link to his website. And so I've got all the scores in Excel. I think it's in, or it's comma separated CSV files, but it'll go into Excel, and then I can go through and pull out all of it and put it in there. So it's a good bit of work to it. The pandemic hit as I was getting ready to do on that, because I knew after about 10 months the scores would start going away, and so I try to do that by then. But my first emphasis after the match is editing and posting the pictures. I will normally shoot in those 3 to 4 days somewhere around 14 to 1700 pictures. But you saw what I was doing. Okay, so any other questions on that one? It is a neat experience, and in any event, if it does collide slightly on us, I can work around that one. But I don't think it will the more we talk about it. So, and when I go, that y'all can actually see stuff. I try to post some stuff while I'm there. I'd love to post the pictures while the match is going on. And back when we used to do it on Excel, I would work hard on Sunday afternoon that we'd finish shooting at noon. We'd shoot from 8 to 12. And then once they finished scoring the stuff by about 3 o'clock, I would race back up to the room with the scores of the CD they gave me and get the scores posted on the internet. So that people that weren't at the match could see how everybody did for that evening. Pictures, if I ever had somebody with me that could edit pictures while I was shooting, but I will spend a lot of time running around in there taking pictures, and I take pictures of all the crowds around too and everything. So if y'all go in and look, and there's a link on my website to the match. It's also DNBBGCM.com, Daisy National BB Gun Championship Match.com, as an initials. Y'all can go out and look at all kinds of stuff that I've got out there on it. And you can see I got stuff back to the early 2000s. Because prior to '99, I was shooting with film. And actually, yeah, '99, I started shooting digital. Because when I went to Brazil on a mission trip, I started shooting digital. Got my first digital camera that you could actually do something on. School had one for me before that, but you could only take 8 pictures and you had to go find a computer to download it on, and the quality was really poor. And then I went and they came out with a camera, then Sony did, that put it on diskettes, on the 3.5-inch square diskettes. And you could get, I think I could get about 10 or 12 pictures on a diskette. So I would stuff one pocket full of diskettes and then shoot the 10 or 12 pictures, whatever, filled it up, pull it out, stick it in my pocket, pull one out, blank one, and stick in. And so my pockets switched. And that I used initially. And then they came out with one that put it on mini CDs. And I did that for a number of years. And now I'm shooting with a Canon. This is the 3rd Canon I've used, and I think it's a 6D, but don't hold me on that number. I bought it 2 years. I'm thinking I bought it Thanksgiving 2019. It was actually a Black Friday special. And I can put hundreds of pictures on it because I got plenty of memory on it. So, but I have to download every day because how many pictures I'm doing, where I'll fill up. Okay. In the course, what y'all are doing at this point, you are dealing with VLANs in chapters 3 and 4. The first 2 chapters, you learn switching concepts. Well, you already knew switching concepts. I'm not sure. And that you learned in chapter 1 should have been about the router setup, which you discovered was similar to what you've been doing. Yeah. Things that it was similar, and you learned how to set up the router, which you'd done a tiny bit of, but now you learned it further. Switch you'd played with all of last semester. And then chapter 2, they got into some more stuff about switches. Most of that you had actually been introduced to on a smaller level before. So that should have all been familiar to you as you went through 2. 3 and 4 get into VLANs, which is your virtual local area networks. And that's where you can connect different things together and not be working off of this wiring. Yes, it is. I forgot that it needed to be this week, and I activated it last night. So as of about 10 o'clock last night, I think, somewhere 8 to 10, after I got back from my bicycle ride, when I got on to do some stuff, that I realized that we needed a test available, so it is available now. So I activated it. And this week, remember, and you're actually going to hit this 3 times this semester, because we got 3 Monday holidays in your class this semester. Monday will be a holiday. It is Memorial Day. It's a national holiday. So Cortez, you're correct. It is due on Tuesday. So even though I was a day late in activating it, you still got a full week on it. So y'all aren't hurting on that. And nobody had mentioned to me that it wasn't activated yet. So you've got that coming up. And so your stuff that would be due on Monday is due on Tuesday. Then June the 20th, as I already mentioned, is Juneteenth. And I think I'm probably pronouncing it right. I really don't know. But that's what I've always thought it must be. As I say, it is a brand new state holiday. Now, it is a date that has been celebrated ever since it occurred, which was back in 1865, I believe is what it was. Should be 1865. That it's when the last people, slaves, learned in the United States that were located in Texas that they had been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, and that message arrived to them. I really think it was something like June the 16th, but it's a Monday holiday, so it falls on June the 20th this year. So it's that celebration of them receiving the word that they were no longer slaves. So that week I will also do the same. That stuff will be due on Tuesday instead of Monday. And then July the 4th, which is American Independence Day, um, falls on Monday also, so that week stuff will be due on July the 5th, and that's actually the last full week of the semester. July the 12th, Tuesday the following week, is the last day of class, and July the 13th will be your final exam. So with VLANs, you can set up to have looks like LANs that don't fall within traditional LAN boundaries, that you can go across network physical boundaries of stuff and connect things together off of different physical connections into making a separate VLAN. So it's a virtual one. Now, with the VLAN, you do increase your security. The nice part about the VLAN is the users don't even know what's going on. It has no effect on them on what they have to do. It does make what they're doing secure and also makes them be able to access some things that they need to get to. So you set it up with that in mind. So, and you'll quite often use the internet as part of the backbone of the VLAN. I set up a VLAN for an accounting firm in South Georgia a few years ago. The guy had an office in Waynesboro, Georgia, and he also had an office in Millen, Georgia, which are about 25 miles apart. The way we set up the VLAN, it didn't make any difference which of the two offices you were in working on any of the computers in the two offices. All the computers looked like they were all connected together on the same network, on the same local network. And they really weren't, because the ones in one town were on a different network than friends on the other town, but we connected through using the internet as part of it. So it was a really neat factor on that one. So they'll talk about how you can also trunk VLANs together so that you've got one connection going across and multiple VLANs could go across there. So there's some neat things that you'll learn about VLANs in there. And then they're going to talk to you about how you can work with stuff going across between VLANs. That's your inter-VLAN routing. And they'll talk about how you're going to do that with your switches and your routers. And that's where your switches are no longer just layer 2 devices. They are also working on layer 3, in this case, doing routing type stuff on a switch. So what I taught you about OSI model and taught you about routers and switches last semester, now we start getting into gray areas on it, as we've originally, those were all precise. Now you've got some gray area between them where things don't just stay specifically within the area they were on. So that's where you're going to get into that on there. So have I got any questions for me on anything I've talked about today or anything else? Or any comments for us? But Moshe, Embassy Suites is a nice hotel. The suites are nice, that you got an outer room that's got, and that I'm always sitting there working on my computer in, and then you've got the inner room that's the bedroom. And actually, like for there, the outer room has a sofa in it. It's actually a sleeper sofa, so it comes out as a bed. So the teams come in, and they can put 4 kids in a room, 2 in the back bedroom, 2 in the front room, and then they got the bathroom sitting in between, and actually have a little tiny bit of a kitchen thing there because it's got a sink and a refrigerator. No hot plate or anything like that, but they do have a coffee maker. So those are nice on it. I'll be staying at another one in August in Murfreesboro. I do like them, but they generally are costly. But that week, mind you, I'm going to Rogers, Arkansas for this. Actually, the hotel is on the line between Rogers and Bentonville. Y'all have all heard of Bentonville, I'm sure, because that is where Walmart comes from, and that's where their headquarters is. Well, July the 4th week, basically Walmart headquarters is closed, so the Embassy Suite has very little people staying in it, because most of the time they're filled up with customers of Walmart. So they basically rent us the whole hotel, the convention center beside it, at a real cheap price, just to keep it filled. All right, a layer 2 switch. A switch is a layer 2 device. However, a switch can also, modern switches, the intelligent switches, which all switches are basically intelligent, that they can also, that when they can do these VLANs and other type stuff on them, they're also doing some layer 3 stuff. So you will see switches associated that they definitely belong on layer 2, but they're also doing some layer 3 functionality also to them. So they're not purely on layer 2 anymore, but are doing work to layer 3. You will also, you used to see, and you'll see this mentioned some places still, that when you had bridges, and you really don't have bridges anymore, you use switches to do them, they were layer 2 also, that you would have routers that also did bridging to connect. And what a bridge did was it just connected 2 networks together, not any more than 2, just 2. And that you had routers that could do bridging also, and they were called browsers. They had a B in front of the word router, or router as they want to pronounce it over in Britain. Always, I have to stop and think when I get a British instructor teaching me something about Cisco, because they're continuously talking about routers, and I'm going, okay, and I have to pause and think what a router is. So layer 3, layer 2 is MAC addresses. Layer 2 is working with frames. Layer 3 is working with packets. So what is happening is that your switch actually can work with packets in addition to frames. And so that's where it's getting up into doing some layer 3 work in addition to layer 2 work. But it's just like cars. All cars for the longest time were standard transmissions. Now almost all cars are automatic transmissions, where people no longer have to shift gears all over the place on it. You just put it in drive and let it shift its gears as it needs to be. Well, that used to be a human function to shift gears in a car. That was a lower level function. The car just ran the engine and ran the transmission, but you had to choose gears. Now the car takes care of pretty much the gear setting also, although you can do some overrides on it. So yes, Mosham, we will do these every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Other questions? Yes, but you can tell a solid one from a blinking one, that they will have a difference on them, and that's giving you information there about how they are doing. So you just have to be careful on that, and you're going to find that on your switches that you do have, because you can't put a ton of LEDs for everything, that you have the LED serving multiple purposes. But y'all have got that and other items out there in life also. The new alarm system we've got on the campuses of GNTC. I don't have my ID badge on me for some reason today. That it's actually got a button on it that I can push, and depending on how many times I push it, will alert the campus police to a situation on me, where I can push it once that I've got a medical problem, or if somebody comes, I spot something like somebody with a gun or whatever, I can push it like 7 times in a row, and it tells them we are in massive problem. We've got something threatening specifically to lives on campus. It also sets off alarms all over the place. Then we got these little light LED light boxes all around everywhere, and they're LED. And the nice thing about LED is you can have them do different colors. So if it starts flashing all red, it means we better take action and fight or whatever. If it flashes blue, there's a weather condition, which means probably that we're under a tornado alert or tornado watch. And that they've got 5 different colors it can be on it. Green says, okay, whatever was the emergency, it's over. You can all return back to where you were. So if things start flashing green, that tells us that. Normally, they're not flashing anything. And that they could flash in blue for weather. White means evacuate the building. Get out of here. Yellow tells us that we're in lockdown, so that's the opposite of white. White says get out and flee. A yellow says lock the doors and hide. And then red says that we're in an extreme situation and that you're in the run, hide, fight, that we got a major incident and that you're in a run, hide, fight situation, which probably means active shooter on campus. But you can tell the difference between blinking and solid. Now, the problem with some of this is on these things with the LED colors of doing all this stuff is for colorblind people, and that they've got to find ways to adjust on that one also. Because like what I just told you on the school system is using green and red. Well, green and red for a colorblind person are the same color. They're both a black type color. There's a slight difference in the tint to them, but if they haven't seen the other, they can't tell that apart. I'm not sure how they've got what they've thought on that one any further or whatever. Same thing can run into what Cassandra was just asking me about. But just be aware they're there and that that the LEDs are giving you different information depending on color they're in. As y'all have learned, red and green are important ones because y'all saw that all last semester. Now you're throwing in amber and you're throwing in also, they could be solid or flashing. Did that answer your question, Cassandra? On a switch, if it is a switch that has been set up correctly, there are no collision domains. Because on a switch fully set up correctly, with half duplex, yes. But if you're setting a switch correctly, you should not be having half duplex on it. You should be doing full duplex. Second thing is on each port, there should only be, if it's been set completely correctly, you should only have one device on a port, although you will have more than one device on ports. And if you do have more than one device on a port, you could have a collision domain still. But if you've only got one device per port, there are no collision domains, and particularly at full duplex. At half duplex, yes, there could still be. But pretty much nowadays, if you're going to run a gig, a gig or faster on your Ethernet, which you're going to be the 10. If you're going to run at 100,000 or 100 meg or faster, let me change that. If you're going to run at 100 meg or faster, 10. No, if you're going to run at 100 full duplex, then you're not having any collision domains. If you're going to run at 1,000 or faster, and that's megabits per second, so that's 1 gig per second, that you're going to have to run full duplex when you're running up to the 1,000, which is quite common out there. So you could have collision domains out there on modern switches still, but it's very unlikely, and it's going to be limited to just to the single port. Now, when you used to use hubs, I had to think for a second what it was. No. Each port is a separate collision domain, but the switch itself will be a full broadcast domain, or whatever. Actually, that won't even be totally correct what I just told you. Whatever you set up as your subdomain there, as your network, into your subnetting and stuff, that is your broadcast domain. So where if you send out a broadcast, which machines all receive it? So on a switch, each port is not a broadcast domain. Each port is a collision domain, because only traffic that goes out on a port is to the device that is on that port, or devices. So yes, you could still have collisions in there. So each port would be a collision, but if you only got one device on there, full duplex, there's no collisions. So technically it is still a collision domain, but you would never have any collisions. Broadcast domain is all of the same machines that are on the same subnet. It's not physical. So the VLAN is correct, Mason. As I've started to say it, you came out with it before I could get it all out. A VLAN is a broadcast domain, and it's going across multiple switches, etc. on it. All of the addresses on a VLAN are all on the same subnet. So when you send a broadcast on that subnet, that's going to all of those devices. So that is a broadcast domain. And on a VLAN, that can be coming off of part of one switch, off certain ports off another switch, and it's not every port on a switch. It's whichever ones we've got set into that VLAN. So a VLAN is a broadcast domain, because when you send out a broadcast message, and remember, in terms of IP addresses of version 4, that would be sending out it to an address of 255.255.255.250. No, that's incorrect. Would be to the network address portion, and then in the host portion, if it was on class boundaries, it would be with 255. But in any event, it would be all binary ones in the host portion. And that if you send something to an address on a network with all binary ones in the host portion, it's a broadcast, and it goes to every address on that network or subnet, depending on how you've got it set up on that. And that's a broadcast domain. And you want to break those down, because you don't want to send, you don't want broadcast, and most broadcasts are not done by humans. Most broadcasts going across the network are generated by the computer, because remember, each of the devices are sending out broadcast all the time to be aware of all of the devices on their network with them, and to keep up with knowing all of that information. And you've got a number of your protocols use broadcast to keep themselves current. Hopefully that helped on all of that. But remember, back to what Mason made the comment, half duplex versus full duplex. Full duplex says that we're only sending or receiving on a pair of wires. Half duplex says that we are both sending and receiving on the same pair of wires. Half duplex is like a CB radio or a ham radio or a walkie-talkie. Full duplex, actually we'll keep it. similar to a telephone where we can both talk and listen at the same time. But on half duplex, you can either talk or you can listen only. But with full duplex, you're actually got two separate wires there so that there is no collision occurring. That what we send from this machine back to the switch or whatever, and the wires it's sending to me in turn from that switch is on a separate set of wires. So one set of wires only goes one direction, one set of wires only comes the opposite direction. So we've got one that's sending, we've got one that's sending from the other device back to me. And just for y'all's information, since y'all did cable plugs last semester, remember on the crossover and rollover, not rollover, crossover and straight through, you switch the orange and the green pairs. Well, that's the two pairs that are used for the receiving and sending, is on the orange and green pairs. It depends on the devices on which pair is used for sending and which pair is used for receiving. Because remember, where one uses one set, where uses a different set. All right, other questions? And now you are going, oh, yuck, Dr. Waters expects us to remember things we learned last semester. Any other questions for me? Because we've actually used up an hour today, but we got wandered off on some other things a little bit in here too. But hopefully that was interesting to y'all also. And I sort of specifically did choose the afternoon session for this class so that if we had to run over, we could a little. Actually, the one class that I'm constrained on time on is the 1122, which is the hardware class, and I don't expect to have to do a whole lot in that one. My server class, I've got from 11 to 12, and then for me to get lunch and stuff, I've got a 12 to 2 time period. And then y'all from 2 to, hopefully by finish them up normally by 3 o'clock. So next week, same time. And I look forward to seeing y'all then. And I'm still watching if anybody pops up with a question for me. And if you come up with questions later, remember you can email me at any time. I try to answer emails every day. And in the evenings and on weekends, and I hope to be answering some on Monday also. I'll be on the road some Monday, but I try to answer them those times too, just not quite as often. Because I'm teaching CIST 2412 this semester, besides this class and 1122 and an internship class. All right, I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.